in the essence of time, we'll start to get rolling so we can start to learn a little bit more about how we can up our HR game. Okay, special thanks today to our partners, Arctic IT and ServiceNow. Thank you guys for sponsoring this webinar and being on the call today. We have 3 presenters for you: Matt Borkowski from Arctic IT, Nick Jung, and Shane Gallagher, both from ServiceNow. This session will be recorded for unlimited viewing on TribalHub.com. We are also going to send you an email tomorrow that has the link for the video. If you want to go ahead and share that with anybody on your team who couldn't make it, that would be wonderful. A couple of learning objectives today, just to keep in mind while we're going through the presentation. Understand how this web-based technology can help your organization thrive and how it can create processes that move your organization faster through a central platform to manage hybrid work and facilities in a standardized way. Please feel free to send questions using that chat feature, or you can also use the Q&A. Either way. If we don't get to your question during the presentation, we will follow up at the very end with all of the questions that have come in. And up next at TribalHub, I was just talking about how I'm going to be in Seattle. I'm going to go to Northern California next week, and then Seattle in a couple weeks later for our regional tribal technology roundtables. Anybody on the call today in any type of tribal technology leadership role, definitely something to check out. These are free events for all tribes to attend. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and hand the webinar over to you guys. I'm not sure who's going first, but I'll leave it in your court.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Michelle. And excited to be here today with my colleagues from ServiceNow, just to present to you some great new technology in regards to how you can utilize HR service delivery to really help your employees, your organizations, and ultimately better interface with your citizens and guests. As you heard earlier, the 3 of us presenting today are myself, Matt Borkowski. I've been with Arctic IT going on 17 years now, and have spent most of that working in the tribal government and casino and non-gaming organization space. So I'm excited to be able to continue to share some exciting new technology with our colleagues here and those attending throughout the TribalHub and TribalNet space. So with that, I'll let Nick Jung say a quick hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nick Jung here with ServiceNow. I'm a solution sales manager aligned to our employee workflows team product set, which aligns with HR, which we'll take a deeper dive here today, joined with Shane Gallagher.
Thanks, Nick. Great to meet you all today. My name is Shane Gallagher. I'm a senior solution consultant here at ServiceNow. I'm essentially sort of going to be walking us a little bit through the technical aspects around what HR service delivery, one of our ServiceNow products, can do for you all. I've been with ServiceNow for just over a year, specializing in our employee workflow product suite, and looking forward to being able to demonstrate a little bit of the value that a product like HR service delivery can provide to you, your employees, and how that employee experience can ultimately impact and ensure that, as Matt said before, guests and everyone are able to operate as efficiently and everyone is doing well. So looking forward to it.
All right, thank you, Nick and Shane. Now, throughout our presentation today, this is going to be the journey that we're following. Just briefly talking about Arctic IT and our tribal experience and why we're so excited to have our partnership here with ServiceNow, and then really diving into the meat of the presentation, which is understanding how the ServiceNow HR service delivery functionality can truly empower your organization to better serve your employees. And with that, then Shane's going to take us into a deep dive and actually show you how a number of these processes can work and how that can be beneficial to your organization. And then leave some time at the end for questions. So again, throughout, as you're thinking about those questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And then at the end, we'll leave plenty of time to address those or other questions that you may have at that time. Now, at Arctic IT, we pride ourselves at being a strategic asset for our customers, right? And we've been, technology is in our name, and we love technology, but we also know that choosing the right technology for your problems or solutions that you need is really only half the battle. and ensuring that any technology you're utilizing is implemented properly, that your teams know how to use it effectively, right? And that it is provided the highest levels of ongoing support can be as impactful, if not more impactful, than having that right technology in place to begin with. So in everything that we do at Arctic IT, we want to be that go-to strategic partner for our customers. So whether or not it's a specific technology that we work with, or we can just make recommendations based upon other similar organizations that we work with, we want to make sure that we help deliver value to you all through a great and ongoing partnership. And with that, a lot of that starts based upon our deep experience in the tribal sector, right? As we are very proud of our heritage being 100% native owned. We are a subsidiary of the Doyon Alaska Native Corporation, which is the economic development arm for the central region tribes of Alaska. So we're proud of that heritage. We're also very proud of the work we do with our other partners in the tribal space. So our customers throughout the country, where we've delivered our very specialized tribal technology services, and also help make best use of a lot of that technology, typically based on Microsoft. So we are very proud of the experience and depth of expertise that we have over the last 20 years. And that is a big reason why we are very excited about our partnership with ServiceNow. And as someone that has a lot of my background in finance and supply chain technologies, and all that, my previous experience with ServiceNow had been so much regards into being kind of that best in class IT service management. Being able to bring that functionality to tribal organizations and customers that we work with was something that we were excited about. But then, as I learned more about all the functionality that the ServiceNow platform can bring, I got even more excited about what that can mean for our customers. And so with that, I invite Nick here just to give a brief overview on what else is available beyond just that best-in-class IT SM.
Yeah, Matt. Like many people who have heard of ServiceNow, we may be known to them as just a ticketing system, right? Well, ServiceNow actually has many purpose-built systems that drive productivity and innovation across the entire enterprise, and has capabilities that go beyond just the IT help desk, all found on a single platform. Today, we'll take a deeper dive into the HR aspect of it, but there's many different applications here listed, such as field service management and workplace service delivery, everything from security operations to asset management.
Perfect. Thank you, Nick. And specific, I know you mentioned field service management. Just to call out that on April 27th, we will have another webinar just like this that's focused on the field service management functionality that is available through the ServiceNow platform. And with that, then, Nick, why don't you start by just explaining more about ServiceNow and the HR service delivery?
Yeah, appreciate it. So I'm just going to give us a high-level overview of our HR service delivery capabilities. I'll be able to speak on that a little bit more, and then we'll take a deeper dive through a demonstration provided by Shane here. So we're going to take this conversation really into the perspective of that employee journey. We know that employees are really the pulse of an organization within tribal entities and are so critical in achieving their mission. Matt, just a question for you. With your expertise in the space, can you share maybe what you've been hearing around some onboarding and offboarding issues?
Yes, that's a great question. Some of the with our tribal customers, some of the biggest things that we often hear in regards to onboarding and then offboarding can often just stem from the fact that so many tribal organizations around the United States are in some rural areas. And with that, the governments themselves, as well as the gaming operations, things that they provide are some of the best places to work in the areas, which is fantastic. But that also means that there's a lot of transfers, people moving around in there. employees that leave and then come back a little bit later, needing to, when they're offboarding, wanting to know why, what's going on, should they be able to be rehired, and if so, to what levels, and really just managing the fact that they have a lot of that returning workforce because they are such an attractive and important place to work in a lot of these rural areas where tribal organizations exist.
Great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that insight. And we understand that the employee journey is complex, right? There's a lot of things that happen within the time a candidate may receive a tentative job offer to joining an organization. Eventually, they're onboarded. They start on day one. They're doing a great job. Maybe they get a performance award. Maybe they get a promotion. Maybe they, have a child and need to change their beneficiaries. And eventually, that employee may even leave the organization and maybe be considered an alumni. There's a lot of things that happen in between from the time they are hired to the time that they might retire. And historically, from a human capital perspective, a lot of these activities occur in disparate third-party systems. So a lot of friction points can occur from managing those many third-party systems. As an employee, you may need to remember to go to your talent acquisition system to check on the status of a vacancy you're trying to fill, or you need to go to a separate system to check on the status of your license for a gaming related role. All of those many different systems don't necessarily speak to each other. And as an employee, you've got to remember where to go, right? Maybe you shoot an email to HR to figure out the status of something, and ultimately it's not necessarily a positive experience. This can slow people down when they're trying to do those manual processes, flip between systems, and they don't know what's really going on with the statuses across that employee life cycle. Now, ultimately, when we think about that can create friction for employees, right? They don't know where to go. They don't know who to contact. They don't know what the status is, which prevents them from focusing on the task at hand, the stuff that's actually important. So how do we address that from a ServiceNow and employee workflows perspective? It really starts with that employee focus in mind. Employees and end users can engage with ServiceNow through a number of means, whether it's really simple functionalities like sending an email out to an Outlook or Google inbox to create a ticket or case, or going to the solution itself to access their self-service portal and get a single pane of glass view. At the heart of the solution, we have the employee. Essentially, those employees who are the practitioners who are actually getting the work done, right? Folks that are fielding those queries for benefits, talent acquisition, and checking on the status of a license, maybe for a health clinic. Those practitioners can engage with ServiceNow as well to track those cases and resolve those issues. Concurrently, if we are integrating with those third-party systems of record, we can not only send data to those systems, but also receive data from those systems as well. So those practitioners don't need to spend as much time doing manual data entries and more time providing great service to the end user. So I know there's a lot going on in this slide, but I really just want to focus on the key elements here. Across this big row in the middle, you'll see the many different types of workflows with us taking a deeper dive into the employee-specific category. At the end of the day, ServiceNow is a technology that is really good at automating workflows across an entire organization, like we had discussed earlier. Ultimately, we find with customers is that they have many different legacy systems. As a result, force employees to sending a lot of emails, making a lot of phone calls, tracking in spreadsheets. And that's not the most automated or efficient way of doing things, right? With ServiceNow and its capabilities, it allows people to automate those workflows to get them, out of those spreadsheets, out of those emails, basically deliver a tool that provides a more seamless experience. So here we have a very high-level overview of the applications found under our HR service delivery product set. This is just a couple snapshots of our HR agent dashboard, the self-service employee portal, as well as our mobile applications. Like I said, this is a very high-level overview, but Shane will take a deeper dive here shortly and show you how they work in real time. So lastly, we just want to highlight some potential use cases for tribal entities, whether you are supporting tribal governments, enterprises, healthcare, or housing. Just want to think about how the workforce could benefit through ServiceNow's workflows. Saving time and money through onboarding and offboarding automation can help tribal entities reduce that time to hire and more quickly get those necessary roles filled. Through self-service, employees are able to proactively get answers to complex benefit questions through knowledge-based articles. Tracking paperwork specific to your organization or even specific position becomes less of a headache and more of an efficient process. Many different possibilities may come to mind when thinking about this. And, I encourage you to take a deeper dive and think about where, that technology can alleviate some of those pain points. But enough from me. Let's going to hand this off to Shane to the interesting part of the demo here.
All right. Well, thank you, Nick, for kind of walking through the platform at a high level. And one thing, we are all employees of our own organizations, right? And so we are all pretty self-aware of the frustrations that we have, maybe with using technology or all those things. And so I think it's easy for a lot of people to really start thinking about, man, what are some of the ways that I wish that my experience as an employee and interacting with HR and the organization as a whole could be better. And then when you start looking at a technology and really allow you to start thinking about not only what are the problems, but now how we can really start tackling those and provide solutions for that. And that's why I'm excited having set the stage here to now have Shane join us and to kind of walk through actually demonstrating some of the solutions to these common problems that we have. So with that, Shane, I will stop sharing the PowerPoint slide and let you take over.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. And Matt, Nick, I'm going to rely on y'all. Can you see my screen? Are we good to go?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Great. Thanks so much. Well, as we had said before, thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to be able to demonstrate about how our ServiceNow HR service delivery product can be leveraged for you in your entity, especially among the tribal community for your employees. The example we wanted to show in the demonstration today is going to be set in the context of a casino. So the three different perspectives we're going to see, or three key personas really, and how each of them are going to be able to leverage HR service delivery to be able to accomplish any of those tasks that we mentioned before, right? Some of those use cases around updating beneficiaries, enrolling in your benefits, making requests to transfer employees from one department to another, helping to facilitate the onboarding experience, right? All those different use cases really sum up to create as optimal an employee experience as possible. The better the employee experience, the more productive and efficient your employees are. Simple as that. So for the first perspective we're going to see is from an example of a casino employee, Emily. Next, we'll see from the perspective of Emily's supervisor, Maria. And finally, we'll see from the perspective of an HR specialist who helps maintain those day-to-day operations from an HR perspective in the casino. Now, for an employee like Emily, who is working on the floor of the casino, it can be very difficult to be able to get access to a desktop to maintain any of those benefits, updating beneficiaries. So how can we provide Emily the tools she needs to be able to make those updates all through her mobile phone, at her fingertips, without the need to have to go home at the end of the day, go on her laptop or desktop and require her to do that sort of thing? So with that, right now, Emily is using her ServiceNow mobile app. The ServiceNow mobile app is available for download from the iOS store and Google Play Store as well, and for Androids and iOS, but allows Emily to be able to download that app and leverage all the same tools that other employees that have access to desktops simply using her mobile phone. When Emily opens up the ServiceNow mobile app, this is the homepage she sees. She sees content that's curated for her and specific, such as a reminder that open enrollment is just around the corner, and she needs to make sure that her beneficiaries are up to date. She's also able to access any other resources available on the mobile app as well. Any types of requests she needs to make to HR, or especially any types of resources she needs to access. This can come in the form of FAQs, job aids, knowledge articles, etc. All of that is available for her on the ServiceNow mobile app. So when Emily opens it up, like I said, she sees this reminder that open enrollment's coming up, and she realizes that she actually needs to come in and update her beneficiaries. Recently, her and her partner had a baby, so that they need to come in here and make that update. To do that, all Emily needs to do is come to her search bar, and she can just simply type in beneficiary, and she sees a couple of different options here. Now we can see at the top of the screen, she has different options in terms of the service requests that she's able to make all through the mobile app, as well as any knowledge articles to help keep her up to date around beneficiary policies, anything else she needs to do to make sure that all is all up to date. Now she sees here, she's able to, all from the mobile app, add any beneficiaries and update to her benefits. Once she clicks on the ability to add beneficiaries, this pulls up a simple form for her to fill out. Now, this form is completely, can be personalized or tailored to your organization's needs, and all can be done through simple configuration. No code required. All of this is rolled out through just configuration tools alone. So when she comes in here, she's able to select which plan she would like to complete or modify her beneficiaries. She's going to select her plan. She's also able to access any of those PDF forms. Oftentimes, those forms are only available on desktops, but with the ServiceNow mobile app, Emily's able to see any forms that she needs to view and update her beneficiaries. She's also able to download them and update them, again, all through the mobile app, and be able to add them back in as attachments. Again, eliminating the need for her to be able to navigate to find a desktop to go to, which can be quite cumbersome, especially for a casino employee who's working the floor. Now that Emily's been able to view the forms, she's been able to complete that attached form. Now she can go ahead and submit this. And what's happened just now, after she submitted that form, that very simple form, this opened up a case for Emily within the system. This case is something that Emily can access in the future. So whoever's working this and updating her beneficiaries, Emily's going to be able to engage with that person. So if they have any additional questions around any other updates with her benefits, all of that can be done through the mobile app using that case that's been opened. Emily now has a transparency and knows for certain that that case is open within the system, it's being worked. And Emily even got an email reminder sent to her inbox to let her know that the case has been received. Any updates she can receive through either the mobile app or through email alone. Now that Emily's been able to update her beneficiaries, we can now take a look at what does it look like for any of the folks that do require a desktop for their day-to-day job. In that case, we're going to take a look at what it looks like for Emily's supervisor, Maria. Now, for Emily's supervisor, Maria manages a large team of folks that are helping to ensure that guests are having a great time at the casino. To do that, Maria's going to need access to her desktop when she's working, and through that, she's going to be able to access all the same resources and more through the desktop, just like Emily's been able to do on the ServiceNow mobile app.
So Shane, as you're switching over to Maria, just one of the things I loved about seeing how that submitting that case for beneficiaries works is the idea that I think we're all familiar with the times where if we have a question like that, it starts maybe with an email to HR, and then they respond with the documents that you need, then you fill those out. And so all of the context around that is in that email chain, which for a little bit might be fine, right? But then no one else in the organization has visibility into that. So if that HR individual is sick or steps out or something happens, or if I accidentally delete the email chain or need to refer back to that later, there's no visibility, and all of that interactivity, all that interaction and tracking is gone. So no one else can help, and I'll probably have a hard time finding it later, right? So being able to track that all the way through, have the greater visibility and the status, and also for myself to be able to go back and remember, did I submit that request? Did I get that completed? So I make sure that my beneficiaries are updated. Really brings that all together.
Exactly. And that's a great point, Matt. And that's the other benefit too here, right? To your point, we have the ability where now that is being tracked, right, within the system. So if whoever that's assigned to is working it steps out, or they're sick, they're out for a day, nothing's lost, right? It's now all stuck in an inbox. But in addition to that, even further, right, as all of those requests are coming in, now that leadership team is able to start tracking that and reporting on it in a meaningful way, using those metrics and dashboards that can be built out that we'll see in just a moment here, actually, with ServiceNow, being able to better manage the expectations of their employees and all those types of requests that might come in, whether it's on an annual basis, a monthly, et cetera, and be able to better serve for their employees' needs, ensuring that they're able to stay efficient and productive within their jobs. To that point, speaking a little bit about how employees can stay productive, now we're taking a look at what Maria sees. So as I said before, in this example, Maria's Emily's supervisor, but Maria manages quite a large team. To manage that large team, Maria does have access to a laptop or desktop to be able to manage her day-to-day operations for her team, make sure she's able to provide them the resources they need as her supervisor, and they know that they can trust that they can go to her for any questions they have to make sure that she's keeping them all well informed. On her desktop, when Maria logs into ServiceNow using HR Service Delivery, this is what she sees. Maria is brought directly to her employee center. The employee center is that engagement layer for employees like Maria who have access to their desktop to be able to engage across all those different departments that they need to. In this case, we'll see in the example of HR. However, with any of our additional products, Maria can also engage with her facilities or workplace team, as well as her legal team and more, all through the simple engagement layer of the ServiceNow Employee Center. So like I said, when Maria logs in, this is the homepage that she sees. The first thing she sees here is this rotating carousel or these sorts of banners that appear for her. Now, what's great about these is these are helpful reminders for employees like Maria, just like Emily saw on her homepage when she logged in the mobile app. But these, the content that she's here is actually personalized and catered to her. Specifically, she's able to see other resources and information, such as being able to view any employee assistance programs that are available to her, any career advancement opportunities, such as looking at other internal job postings, a similar open enrollment reminder that she needs to enroll in her benefits. She's also sees something that's personalized to her needs as a supervisor. So when she logs into ServiceNow, she sees this one that's only for her as a supervisor and other supervisors in the organization. This is letting her know that there's a great new tool available called Manager Hub that we'll see in just a moment here. But again, it's ensuring that Maria's only seeing the content she needs to see that's specific to her in her job, her role, location, any of those data points that can be used to personalize the experience to her needs. Now, other key features when she comes into her homepage area here is that she can also see this Google-like search that's available for her. This is going to allow her to, just as Emily was able to do on the mobile app, browse any of those knowledge articles, types of service requests that she needs access to be able to do her job effectively. Now, the example I want to use here is an example of one use case that we've heard before around when employees need to transfer from one department to another. Now, that process can sometimes include, as Matt said before, right, that example of oftentimes a lot of emails back and forth. Sometimes there's PDF or paperwork to be able to make sure that process goes smoothly. However, in this case, what we're going to be able to see is when Maria needs to find the resources to be able to transfer an employee from her team to another one, all she needs to do is come to her Employee Center homepage and leverage this Google-like search. And by simply typing in transfer request, that Google-like search, like I said, is actually using AI machine learning to intelligently pull up any results that I think is going to be most helpful for someone like Maria. In this case, it suggested a top result, just like Google does. And it's even asking for her feedback. Was this a helpful suggestion? Making sure that the content that's that's available to employees isn't just static, just static resources that they need to navigate and dig through and find. It's pulling up and surfacing what the system has determined might be most helpful based off of her keyword search. In this case, it has pulled up a great resource for her to actually initiate the transfer request process. To do so, all she needs to do is click on the request button here. And now she's brought to this simple form. It's similar to the one that we saw Emily have on her mobile phone. The form that you see here is also entirely configurable with additional fields to be added or removed, changed, etc., such as text fields, document uploads, any other resources that you need to guide employees to make sure that they understand what they're doing when they submit a transfer request. When she comes here, that simple form is prompting her to select who the employee is that she's requesting to transfer, as well as other key pieces of information. Now, just going to switch over my tabs here so you don't have to watch me fill all that out. But in this case, we see a form here that Maria's already gotten to fill out. She has indicated that that employee that we just saw, Emily, is going to be transferring departments. She's confirming here that it's going to be from one department to another. She's able to select what the department is. And she's able to use those drop-down features to pre-select anything, such as the departments and any questions that pertain to making sure that, whoever's going to be processing this transfer request has all the information they need. Maria's also able to indicate when the transfer should be effective, what date it should be completed by, and it allows her to ensure that she's notified the employee that the request is in process. Once Maria submits this form, what's going to happen here is, just as we saw for Emily, a case has now been opened up for Maria. This case that's been opened up is going to be tracked so that now she knows who this has been assigned to. She's aware of any additional requirements on her end, such as if she needs to add any attachments. We also see here that it's also triggered a series of tasks that are going to need to be completed and have been assigned out to people like Maria, the persons it's been assigned to, and even to the employee who's doing the transfer. Again, any of those requirements to ensure that the transfer process goes smoothly, all those different types of tasks and checklists are all now automated here through the configuration tools we provide with HR Service Delivery to auto-assign those to the key personnel that need to take action to ensure that Emily can be transferred. It also even gives her a timeline to be able to start tracking across what stage this transfer request is in. She's able to indicate where that transfer process, that sort of employee journey that we're seeing here, we're able to not only initiate the transfer, make sure that goes through, we're also able to initiate tasks and auto assign those to ensure that once the transfer is completed, that employee has all the resources they need to be able to start on that team and get all the access to all the same resources so they can start being productive. In addition to that, Maria is also able to start engaging with any other folks that have access to this case. To do that, she can use this activities tab here to start typing in any comments or updates that need to be made on the case. In this example, if she needs to change the date to something else, maybe a little bit further out, Emily's not quite yet ready, or Maria's not ready to have Emily transfer. She has not found someone to replace her yet and take her position. So Maria can come in here and inform the person this has been assigned to, Helen, that she now needs to update the transfer. She needs to update the transfer date. She can provide that information here and select which date it needs to be. All of that is now tracked within the system. So anyone that gets access to this case can see historical context around any updates that have been made, and they're not having to go seek out the answers to their questions from other folks, taking time away from them in their busy days. And Maria and other folks that have access have all the information they need. As I said before, she also has the option to be able to upload any important attachments or documents, any of which can also be auto-generated by the system. Any PDFs that are often used in that process can now be auto-generated to be pre-populated and sent out for e-signature and leverage the workflow capability that ServiceNow prides itself on. Finally, she's also able to confirm any of the details that were initially submitted to, again, track that sort of historical context about what was initially submitted and any updates that have occurred since then. Now that we've seen a little bit around that transfer request process and how we can automate that to ensure that Maria and Emily have total transparency and visibility into what that process looks like, ensuring that they're able to remain productive, and also helping to combat any types of, for oftentimes when employees encounter any types of frustrations or any cumbersome responsibilities or tasks, this can be impactful on the employee experience and oftentimes can contribute to attrition. Now, this is helping to ensure that the employee experience is staying as good as it can, right? It's optimal, it's efficient, making sure that the employees now are satisfied and they are content and able to do their jobs effectively. So now that Maria's been able to submit this transfer request process, she also has indicated that she now needs to fill that position. She has not found anybody else within the organization, within the casino, to take Emily's role. So she needs to find someone else outside of it. Now, that whole process from requesting to fill a position to job postings, et cetera, are also perfect examples of how HR service delivery can be used to start tracking that request to fill process all the way through to the onboarding. Now, as I said before, in this case, Maria has identified a vacancy on her team. Let's say she's already submitted a request to fill. She's found a candidate that's going to be a perfect fit for the position. She now needs to start the onboarding process and ensure that the employee is onboarded effectively so that they have the tools they need to start being productive on their first day on the job as soon as possible. To do that, Maria is going to navigate to that manager hub that she had seen before on her homepage. Now, maybe for Maria, maybe if she's a newer manager or supervisor, it's extra important that she gets the resources she needs to better understand the responsibilities and what's expected of her to be able to do her job and lead her team. To do that, when she accesses her manager hub, Maria's about to be brought to a page that's going to give her all content and information that's specific to her and her role as a supervisor. She's able to see and navigate across any of those job aids and FAQs to better understand and keep her employees informed, as well as stay informed about the latest within the organization, so she's able to do her job effectively and lead her team. Now, on this Manager Hub homepage, she's also able to see any of those types of journeys that we had just talked about before, right? Understanding that the employee journey doesn't simply include onboarding and offboarding. There's a lot of journeys that can occur within that, such as leave of absence, career growth, and more. All of those journeys are now managed for Maria and available for her to see here on that Manager Hub homepage. Additionally, on the homepage, she's also able to see any other types of requests that have been opened up. So just like that transfer request that she's opened up on behalf of her employee, she can start tracking that here. Maria's also able to see any other HR cases that have been opened up for one of her employees that she needs access to and needs to take action on. So in the example of any types of benefits or other ones where Maria needs to indicate approval on anything, all of those requests that have been opened up by her team through the ServiceNow mobile app are also visible to Maria here as indicated and configured within the system. She's also able to get a holistic sense of all the folks that report to her within the casino. From here, she's also able to get that snapshot view of any of those journeys that we had just talked about a moment before that any of her employees are on. But here she's able to navigate across all the folks that report to her within the organization. She's also able to filter on that so she can drill down, view any of the employee profiles, and be able to get access to any information she needs to better understand her employees and the types of roles that they currently have, if they're currently on leave, where they're based out of, et cetera. Now, to drill down into this, right, we talked just a moment before, Maria now has decided she's been able to fill the vacancy on her team that Emily has, left after she transferred to another department. Now Maria is able to access that onboarding case that has been opened up in the system to make sure that her new hire has the resources he needs to be able to start being effective on day one. Just by clicking on the onboarding button here in terms of filtering on those journeys, Maria is able to come here and she can see her new hire is already in the system even before he started. And now she can take action on any tasks that have been auto-generated that she needs to complete as part of the onboarding process for her new hire. When Maria comes to her new hire's onboarding case, this is what she sees. Now, it's similar to what we've seen before when those cases are opened up, but it gives her even more tools and resources to be able to make sure that onboarding process is going as smoothly as possible. Throughout the onboarding journey, we understand that for any new employees and their supervisors and who's helping to be manage them, there can oftentimes be multiple tasks that get assigned out. Now, this doesn't always just include HR. We understand that this can be assigned out to other departments, such as facilities, security, to make sure that they get a badge provisioned, IT, perhaps, if they're going to be working in an office. All those examples of tasks that get assigned out to other departments that they need to take action on to make sure that employee can come in on their first day and start doing their job and start learning. We understand that to auto-assign those and make sure that all the departments are aware of what's expected of them, Maria is able to see and navigate across all those tasks that have been generated by the system and even filter on what the different tasks who they've been assigned to. She sees that some tasks have been assigned to IT and other key personnel within the organization, such as within HR, security, facilities, and more. In addition, she's also able to see any tasks that have been assigned to her new hire, Nick Newman. To ensure that Nick has an optimal onboarding experience, to make sure that he's able to come on the first day on the job, now he's able to get access on that first day when he downloads his ServiceNow mobile app to see any of those tasks that have been generated for him. Oftentimes that can include onboarding paperwork, those PDFs that we had seen before, or those documents where he needs to be able to upload and attach them so that HR can process them even prior to his first day on the job. For that, Nick's going to be able to use his mobile phone to use the ServiceNow mobile app, or can also use his desktop to be able to access the Employee Center, just like Maria's done prior to his first day on the job. In this process, we're able to see a lot of examples of those different types of tasks that have been assigned out. We're also able to see this timeline view to better understand exactly at what stage we're in right now in the onboarding process. We understand that currently we're still preparing for day one of the job. We can also start navigating filtering on any of those other stages that have also popped up, such as making sure that new hire they've got their tasks for their first day in the job. However, we can also assign out tasks beyond that initial first day or week. We can also assign tasks for the first month or the second month and so on. Understanding that the onboarding experience doesn't simply stop once HR's processed all the paperwork, once security's provisioned their badge. We understand that the employee experience and onboarding into a new organization requires a lot of learning and they need access to resources. With that in mind, we've also developed the capability to be able to assign out other personalized tasks so that if Maria indicates that she wants her new hire to take on any other additional tasks to familiarize himself with the organization and make sure that they understand the responsibility of their job, Maria also is able to create her own sets of tasks that are specific to her new hire to make sure that they have the resources they need to be able to start getting more familiar with the organization and that they've got everything they need to be able to start being productive and contribute in. Now, with this in mind, we understand that, Maria as a supervisor has the transparency and visibility into the onboarding process. It is not a black box for her. She's not waiting to get an email from HR. She sees everything she needs to, and she can also have that sense of ownership too, making sure that the tasks that have been assigned out within the system are now tracked here so she can have any additional follow-ups. If she's seeing that any tasks are past their due date from any of the departments, she can take action as a supervisor, helping to take ownership of that onboarding experience for her new hire instead of having to wait on the departments to be able to let her know when the time is right and when things are done. Now, with all of this in mind too, we understand that for the employee experience, making sure they have the tools they need, such as we're seeing here, is just as important as the tools that HR needs to be able to do their job. Now, switching gears here, talking a little bit more about the HR department and what's expected of them, we understand that there is oftentimes so many resources they need to be able to access to do their jobs, to be able to update benefits, access employee information and profile data, to be able to update things like compensation, et cetera. All of those aspects that HR manages, they also need tools that are specific to them to be able to complete those tasks. To do that, I'm going to switch screens over here to be able to show us a little bit around what the HR specialist sees when they log into ServiceNow and they need to access this onboarding case as well.
And Shane, as you're making that switch, I think just a key thing that you noted here is that idea that so often, historically, as we're working through an employee journey like this, onboarding, so much of that, maybe there's checklists and Excel or other things that HR is part of, other things that the manager needs to be part of, and HR has to do so much to drive that process and to track it effectively. Now being able to move a lot of that into the manager's hands, who really is going to have more of that interaction and has more almost involved and on the line with making sure that the onboarding goes smoothly so that employee can be as effective as possible day one. It really not only helps the overall collaboration process and tracking process and get so many things out of spreadsheets and emails, but it really empowers the people that are most involved with that employee in their journey to be the ones that are tracking it and helping drive that while still getting guidance and oversight from HR professionals as needed. So it really kind of helps put things out into those frontline people's hands, which can really make the whole process more engaging and effective for the employee.
Exactly, Matt. And to that point too, we can see here on my screen, now that I've switched over to HR specialist, exactly what that HR team needs, right? We understand that the tracking comes in a lot of spreadsheets, those Excels, other additional documents too, to be able to track their work, as well as any of those checklists that they need to be able to access. For HR specialists, without a tool like this, oftentimes they need to be able to store those on their desktop, navigate across a bunch of different documents, send those through emails, et cetera. That spreadsheet tracking is taking time away from the HR specialist to be able to do their job effectively and taking time away from them to be able to ensure that employees' requests are being satisfied and their needs are being met. So when that HR specialist, Harry, logs into ServiceNow, this is what he sees. This is his HR agent workspace. This is essentially Harry's home page so that he's able to see all the work that's been assigned to him. He's able to navigate across any of those different cases that have been opened up. If he needs to respond to a benefits inquiry or a beneficiary's update, just as we've seen before, any onboarding requests that have been submitted, et cetera, anything that's been assigned to Harry in his role specifically as an HR specialist, he's able to see here on this HR agent workspace. The HR agent workspace has also done for Harry is it's actually prioritized his work for him. The system's been able to identify any tasks or cases that have been opened up for longer than expected that he needs to prioritize and put forward and make sure that he closes out in a timely manner. It also is able to identify any other different types of cases that have been tagged as high priority in the system. All through configuration, those types of cases can be deemed high priority to make sure that whoever gets assigned to that specialist sees that has been deemed as a case that they need to handle as soon as possible. Also on this HR agent workspace, here is able to gain key metrics into better understanding anything that's been assigned to other folks in the HR department, especially which can be especially important for HR specialists that also manage other folks that are supervising and helping to manage a workload for a team, as well as able to get a snapshot view of the different types of requests that have been made and assigned to Harry in his particular role. So for Harry, what he's going to be helping out with now, just as we've seen before, is making sure that he's able to complete tasks to onboard that new resource to make sure Maria's got a full team and they're able to work productively and everyone's able to do their jobs efficiently. Now, to do that, what Harry's able to do is navigate to that same HR case that we'd seen just a moment before on Maria's screen. However, when Harry accesses that case, he sees not only what Maria sees, but even more. Harry now has access to tools to be able to do his job and complete any of the tasks that he needs to make sure that this onboarding goes as smoothly as possible. But just as I said, he's able to also get a timeline view that's more specific to him, making sure he can start tracking any of those tasks that have been auto-generated by the system and configured. He's also able to get access to key pieces of employee information, such as when the expected employment start date is, where that person's based out of, as well as any contact information. So if Harry needs to reach out or do any follow-up with that employee prior to their first day in the job, he's able to do that and access that contact information from here. Another great example of that too is understanding where oftentimes a great, as something that might be more familiar, especially within the casino community and the tribal community, is that there can be oftentimes folks that are leaving or coming back to organizations and kind of moving around a little bit. Now, with that process, we understand that anytime an employee leaves and comes back, there's still going to be all that paperwork required for the HR department to essentially treat them like a new employee. However, with HR service delivery, for Nick, since he was in this example, let's say that Nick did leave and is now coming back to take on this role to fill on Maria's team, all that HR data that was already stored in the system didn't go anywhere, right? We still had access to Nick's employee profile. He was just no longer an employee, so that was not counted in the system. However, that information has now been re-pulled up for Harry, so that's making his job a lot easier. He's not having to reach out to Nick to treat him like a brand new employee. He sees other key pieces of HR data, whether he needs to process any person identifiable information, such as address, social security number, things that are relevant to that onboarding process to make sure that all the documentation is filled out correctly. He's also able to start engaging Nick immediately from when this case gets opened. On here, Harry's also able to drill down into any of those details that have been added to the case, any of those key data points. He's also able to start collaborating here using that same activities tab you'd seen before that Maria had access to. This is how Harry's able to engage if he has any questions or follow-up items for any of the folks that have access to this case, such as other departments or the supervisor themselves. Harry's also able to see any of those tasks that were assigned out, just like Maria had seen on her view. In addition, on this HR agent workspace view, Harry's not only able to see all the key data points he needs access to and track, he's also able to get access to quickly access resources to be able to do his job effectively. To do that on this sidebar view, Harry can leverage the Agent Assist. Now, the Agent Assist is essentially a quick and easy interface to review all of the different job aids, knowledge articles, FAQs, et cetera, that are specific to Harry and his role. Things that are going to be specific to HR specialists to make sure they have their checklist or they understand what's expected of them to upload documentation, update data in that core HR system, et cetera. Now, Harry's going to be able to access those resources all within the same view as that case. He's not having to open up a new tab, go to that different knowledge base, et cetera. All of that is available truly at his fingertips from this view. We also understand that for employees, especially in the onboarding experience, there's oftentimes a lot of paperwork that still needs to get filled out. PDFs, et cetera, can need to be filled out, uploaded to the onboarding case so they can be processed. Example can be I-9s, W-2s, et cetera, where all that paperwork needs to be collected to make sure the onboarding experience is going as smoothly as possible. For any of those documents that get uploaded, Harry's also able to see and navigate across any employee documents that are relevant to this person and anything that's already been uploaded in the system to them, as well as track any attachments that are specific to the case itself. Now, any of those documents can, as they're being uploaded, they can also be, as I said before, auto-generated by the system. Any documents that are auto-generated by the system can then be pre-populated with PDFs, workflowed, et cetera, to track any approvals that need to happen all within the system itself. Now we've gotten to see all the tools that we can provide to employees through the mobile experience, through the desktop experience, as well as to the HR department. But tracking all this data, we also want to make sure that we're providing Harry as an HR specialist and the leadership team with the data insights that they need to be able to continue to make those strategic decisions to make sure that the organization continues to run smoothly. To do that, Harry's going to be able to access all of that data, not just this one onboarding case, but other onboarding cases to better understand how the onboarding process is going across the organization, and in case anything needs to be updated or corrected in that process. To do that, Harry's able to use the reporting and dashboard capability that we provide with HR service delivery to be able to take all of that data and better understand and tell a meaningful story so that he knows exactly how many current active hiring requests there are, how long things are taking, such as average days to hire, how long the onboarding process is taking as well. You can also get that key piece of information around the hiring process actions too, all the way from when an employee has requested to open up a position and posted that job elsewhere to get that role filled on their team. Harry's also able to see across all those different stages, across all of those different job postings that have been opened up to better understand exactly where they're at, if they're continuing to recruit, if they're in the selection process, et cetera, to be able to start tracking that all the way through to the onboarding experience. What we're also able to do here is better understand what that new hire experience is looking like. For new hires, the ability to get that information and feedback around how that's going for them is always important. That helps keep all the departments, especially HR, up to date with what's going on with their employees and making sure that they're getting the feedback they need to make updates and changes so that they're adapting to their employees' needs. To do that, Harry's able to access all of that sentiment data here that's been created and compiled using surveys that have been configured and sent out within the system. This is allowing Harry to make sure that he's got access to all the information that he needs to make sure that they're actively working to help enhance that onboarding experience for new hires and supervisors alike. In addition to that, Harry's also able to access other types of data and reporting and dashboard capabilities as well, pertaining to any of those inquiries that come in that normally come in as emails and track those, allowing him to stay informed about what employees are requiring and needing from the HR department and proactively address that going forward to be able to start sharing out information employees are asking for and requesting instead of having to receive all the information and then share that out on an individual basis. This can now be proactively shared across the entire organization. This concludes the demonstration portion of this. But Matt, any other additional thoughts or comments here? We appreciate it. I think you've brought up some really great points thus far.
And again, this last piece here just really highlights the value of getting so much of that data out of disparate systems, out of just emails and other things like that, and really being able to bring it into a place where now you've got, rather than just data, you've got true information that can be beneficial to the organization in a variety of ways, right? And as a technology specialist, that's where things get really exciting. Is really where you can start seeing the technology make major impacts here. And with that, I have seen a few questions come in.
Yeah,
Michelle, did you want to address those?
Yes. So let's see. The first one asks, sometimes employees don't have an enterprise issued email address. They only have like a personal email address. Can they still use this solution?
Yes, that's a great question. So when creating access to those employee profiles, it's actually required within the system to provision them only organization emails. Depending on your IT department's security policies, you can actually make their email address their personal one, and they can still access all the same resources and information they need to be able to effectively do their jobs. I recommend always working closely with your IT department to better understand your policies and procedures around how you want to provide access to systems like that to those types of employees.
All right, cool. Another question asked, in the new hire and transfers, this is when you were going through that portion of it, will it update Active Directory and its data like the job titles and the groups?
Yeah, great question. So ServiceNow often integrates with Active Directories. We have a lot of customers that do that. So once you've integrated with that, you can configure that integration to your liking and needs to be able to either push or pull in that data. So if you prefer to update that data within HR Service Delivery, you can leverage that integration just as a lot, if not, I think we would say all of our customers have done at this point, to be able to push that data into your Active Directory or pull it as you see fit.
Cool. Okay, the next one. Do they electronically sign HR documents?
Yes, great question. So yes, we actually do provide out-of-the-box e-signature capabilities within the platform. That provides us the ability to add those e-signatures onto the PDFs and pre-populate them and workflow them as needed. In addition, we also offer out-of-the-box integrations available if your organization's already using things like DocuSign or Adobe Sign to leverage digital signatures. We also integrate those out of the box as part of the product.
Okay. And the last one I have here, and it's a little bit vague, but what is needed for this technology to work in a typical environment?
So let me see if I can best address that one. So in terms of using a product like HR Service Delivery, right, it comes with a lot of tools and capabilities that we've gotten to see here and even more that we also can provide more information on that's also accessible, on the internet that we provide on our own websites. However, when setting up a product like HR Service Delivery, this is going to provision you your own ServiceNow instance, which comes with a lot of tools in and of itself, and being able to manage, build out those different workflows and processes all through configuration tools, making sure that's going as quickly as possible and smoothly, not taking too much time and requiring too much technical expertise. However, then there's the need to manage that ongoing HR Service Delivery solution that you've just built. So again, we provide you a lot of the tools to make that as simple as possible and make it even easier than what a lot of other tools require to be able to have folks that are more specialized with the tool or not get as access to as many of those configurations that we offer. I hope that might have answered the question, but please feel free to add another question in case anything opened up that as well, based on the answer. But essentially, we provide a lot of tools to owning and managing a product like HR service delivery as simple as possible.
Mm-hmm. Another question that just came in. Are you able to integrate training videos into employees' portals, such as cybersecurity videos, that kind of thing?
Yeah, great question. So we do provide the ability to add videos onto the Employee Center. However, we also, with our HR service delivery product, we also offer a capability called Learning Posts. Learning Posts are essentially our tool to be able to integrate with your learning management system. If you already are provisioning or sending out those training videos to track when employees do it, we actually can integrate with that. And we do have some out-of-the-box integrations available with some popular learning management systems. But once you've set the integration, what we allow you to do is actually pull in those training courses as learning posts. So you can, again, track that in that single pane view, eliminating the need for employees to have to navigate across different tools and resources and make HR service delivery that one-stop shop for them. So whether it's training, benefits, compensation, et cetera, all the information is available to them there. So you can pull in those videos as learning posts and have them navigate to that learning management system.
Cool. Okay, another question. It says, we have a lot of elderly people. If they aren't able to do this, can we pull it up and go through it on our computers in HR?
Yeah, so any of the capabilities that you saw employees do for themselves, HR can also initiate any of those cases as well. So just like we saw in the mobile app, where Emily updated her beneficiaries, if you have elderly folks that may not be able to do that for any reason, you can also have the HR department just do it themselves. They can open that same beneficiary case, provide the updates, and work with that employee and meet them where they need.
Does this interface with AIT enrollment systems?
I can answer this. And hello, Nick. I see you answering the question. Good to asking a question. Good to see you with you.
That's Arctic.
Yes, yes.
One
of the great reasons why we are excited about the ServiceNow capabilities is so many of the integration capabilities it has, including the Power Platforms and Dynamics 365 platform on which our enrollment solution is built. So we could absolutely have those integrated with one another.
Awesome. I think that was the last question we had from Nick. Let me go through just to make sure. I just popped in everybody's email. Shane and Matt and Nick's, your email addresses are in the chat. Yeah, I think we got through all of the questions. I thought it was super informative, you guys. That was great. I loved being able to actually see what was happening and what that looked like. That's so cool that you could do that on this. And I hope everybody found it super informative. So got a couple minutes if any of you want to wrap up before we end the call.
Just again, say thank you all for joining us today. And if you found this intriguing and looking for other ways that the ServiceNow platform can provide solutions beyond what we've talked about today, again, reminder of on April 27th, the next TribalHub webinar that we're doing together is on the field service operations. And so again, I just want to thank Shane and Nick for being part of the team today, doing a great job running through the capabilities and benefits of utilizing ServiceNow HR delivery. And thank you to Michelle and the TribalHub team again for all you do to keep us connected in the tribal IT space.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. And thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon. And we will see you back here April 27th. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.